We're joined this morning by North Park men's basketball coach Tom Slyder. Tom, thank you for joining us this morning on our Google Hangout.
My pleasure.
Well, first of all, you're starting your third season at North Park. Where do you see the program at in this third year of yours?
Well, we'd like to think we're moving forward. It's hard to believe you're in year 3 now. It goes so fast. But we feel like we made some progress in terms of recruiting relationships, having not been from the area, not an assistant already in the program taking over, that have those relationships established, an entire new coaching staff. It's taken a little while, certainly for us to get educated on what North Park is about, certainly really understanding the nuances of the league, and then certainly the recruiting base. And so, we're excited. We think we're making progress. Like most things, sometimes progress isn't seen on the outside until it actually happens. But internally, we have a little bit of energy going and synergy, we believe, and feel like we're on the right path.
Could you talk a little bit about JaJuan Henry, and where do you think his ceiling is after making all-conference as a freshman?
Well, he's certainly an amazing talent offensively. And, the interesting thing in players like JaJuan, having coached for 21 years, to think that a guy can come back out and duplicate that kind of effort, or in a lot of cases people say, well, man, how much better can he become? To do what he did his freshman year is pretty amazing. And really, if he duplicates it or does a little less, doesn't mean that he's not any better. It could mean he's even still better, but teams do different things to try to keep him from executing and scoring in different ways. So what we've really concentrated on, JaJuan has embraced just the natural maturity of a player, taking on more of a leadership responsibility, because most people realize he is the guy. That's what they think of when they think of North Park, is JaJuan Henry, and I think he scored in double figures 25 of 26 games if you count his exhibition against Valparaiso last year, which is pretty amazing in a league like the CCIW. So for him to just grow in that leadership role, because he's going to be on the floor a lot, and secondly, to become more of a complete player. So we would like for him to become as good defensively as he is offensively. And I'm not saying anything that I wouldn't say in front of JaJuan. We've talked about that quite extensively. And the beauty of it is he has shown signs and demonstrated up to this point an entirely different approach than he had a year ago in terms of how he prepares. And I think that's going to certainly show dividends as we move forward from a team standpoint.
You had 11 freshmen listed on your roster last year. Who are some of the other guys you're looking to maybe step into their more leadership roles as a sophomore?
Well, certainly Joe Bico is one that stands out. Now, Joe's, and I can't take any credit for this, Joe has grown 2 inches over the summer, so Joe's a legitimate 6'8", and Joe is a guy that most people didn't know much about until 4 or 5 games into conference play last year. So, and he's done a great job of getting in better shape and conditioning. We have another post player in Matt McNamara, who was about 260 pounds last year. He's down to about 235 and moving much better. They'll be playing inside, is very strong, rugged type of player. TJ Cobbs played quite a bit towards the end of last year and has really done a nice job of improving his game over the summer. And then, of course, we talked about JaJuan Henry. And then Gavin Grozick played sparingly last year, mostly JV, but he's done a nice job. Those are really the 5 freshmen that probably people will see.
Sure. And lastly, as we wrap up here, I just want to kind of ask you a question about yourself and your coaching experience. This year marks 10 years since you became a head coach. As you reflect back on that time, how would you describe your experience?
Well, very positive, and I didn't get to coaching the traditional way where I started coaching right out of college. I was in the business world. It's a very unique situation. They talk about Brad Stevens giving up his pharmaceutical job and going to work for nothing at Butler, I was a glorified janitor. I had a cleaning business and sold cleaning chemicals and tried to get into the coaching ranks that way. And it wasn't until I was 40 years old that it happened full time. So there was a lot of investment, a lot of sweat, a lot of sacrifice from my family. To say that I would change that, I don't believe I would. It's been a great experience, and mostly because, as most coaches that have been in it a long time, it's about the relationships. It's about seeing guys grow, seeing them graduate, seeing them become parents and fathers and husbands, and that reward. We get to be the parents away from their parents and really get to see some great development away from their homes. And so that's been the rewarding part. Obviously, we want to win games. We want to have success. I've been fortunate enough to be around some guys that help us do that at Anderson, and that's obviously what we aspire to do here. So it's been a great experience. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. Soon to be 11, I guess. So, but that's the best way I can sum that up.
Good deal. Well, I appreciate you taking the time this morning on our Google Hangout, and wish you the best of luck this season.
Well, we're excited, and go Vikings.